And everybody, welcome to the second episode of the Brotherly Exchange podcast. Um, Hosting today, it's none other than your boy Unc. We got brother Illmatical. Got
Yo,
what's happening, brother? We got brother Scoon,
Howdy.
brother Brolic's on the line,
Yo, what's good?
and we're gonna have brother MeIsMe, who I know a lot of you are looking forward to hearing from. We'll have him on later, but the topic of discussion today is more or less about relationships, and got a number of topics we want to broach today. But we'll go ahead and kick things off first. And again, it's a topic that we've seen on social media regularly, and it's about 50-50, right? This dynamic where you would think it's common sense, but there's been a little bit of pushback and a lot of discussion about, but the 50-50 concept. So again, I want to hear from you, brothers. Again, by the way, I'm one of the few who's married here. So I want to hear from you all to see how you guys are approaching the 50-50 conversation. Y'all jump in whenever.
Oh,
anybody want to?
I'll
Go ahead.
jump in. I'm not super qualified on the 50-50 only because
By the
I've
way,
done it.
and introduce yourself too for the crowd too, brother.
Oh yeah, I forgot we have a very brief intro. We have to re-intro. I go by Brolic. I won't put my full name yet. I like to think of these more as meetings. Like I like this idea right here, just in general. I just wanted to put that out there. Like I like this,
No
but
doubt, no doubt, no doubt.
I've done 50-50 twice, like long term. So I wouldn't say, and each relationship of the two were about a year. So
Hmm.
I wouldn't say I'm super qualified in it, but from what I've experienced and from what I've seen and from what I still see from a close friend is it's it doesn't work well typically, but it at the same time we don't really have a choice
Hmm.
but to do
Hmm.
50-50. Like
Well said.
most of in general, like we don't like just with how how we're expected to kind of have it together at a young age, but at the same time it's not really possible. And then on top of that, having the urge to date, it just doesn't really all. It's like a system built. It's like a system designed to make 50-50 not work, but at the same time necessary. It's a very confusing state that we're in here in the States. Like for example, for black people in general, high school through college, I would say Americans in general, high school through college, we don't have it together at all.
Hmm.
Right.
Hmm.
Like at all. But that's the time when, nature is saying it's time to mate. And a matter of fact, technically, it's not. We'll talk about Shannon Sharp, I guess, later. But when they're young, it's like they're ready, essentially.
Hmm.
So nature is saying one thing, and then a system is saying another thing. So we're forced to do 50-50, but it's kind of designed for it to fail society. It's a very jumbled bunch of. This is why I'm not very,
Hmm.
qualified to say
Hmm.
anything because it's so jumbled. It's like this is just a mess, and that's kind of what we're
Well,
seeing.
question on that too. Just I know you're one of the younger members of the group. Is this 50-50 concept coming up? Is that an expectation that's being set upon you? Is that from the beginning? Like, how are you getting to that conversation? I think that is a question for everybody. But again, are you going into a committed relationship with this concept of 50-50? Is that, and I think the other thing is that realistic, or is it more or less just a sharing of responsibilities? Just kind of
The
throwing that out there.
the funny thing is, it's super realistic and it should work. But I don't know what, for example, my experience with women, the more attractive they are, the more they expect from me. I dated a girl, she was from like Mississippi or not Montana, Mississippi, Alabama, something like that. But she was a real country chick. But
Hmm.
she also kind of like she was like 27, 28 at the time. She also kind of liked to go to clubs, drink, whatever. But she was a dime, 5'11", thick everywhere. But like she looked good. Like
Right, right.
I was reminiscing a little bit.
Nice.
But one of the one of the things she said to me, she asked me for. It wasn't even a question. She kind of demanded it, which was a Birkin bag.
Oh
Nah.
wow.
which is
Ain't no way.
beyond
Ain't no way.
50-50, and it was
Sheesh.
cartoonish. Like it was something
Yeah.
you would hear in like a music video, like, oh no, I need a Birkin bag, like if you're gonna take me like serious, or we're gonna take this seriously. And
Oh,
It,
yeah,
you
and
know,
that's not the first time I've, dated a very attractive woman for a brief time, and
Mm-hmm.
they
Mm-hmm.
expect something just grand from me so early. And
right.
then before that, dating women, who see I have my, my own place, have my things together, and they don't like whatever their living situation is. And this happens a lot because women, I think,
Mm-hmm.
generally, like, they don't know how to be happy and to be great. A lot of Western women don't know how to be grateful and happy with what they have. So a
That's a
lot of
good
them
point.
are constantly on the move. I don't want to live with my parents. I don't want to live with
Mm.
this roommate. I'm in this situation here. So they like to kind of, and they see what a lot, I've seen a lot of brothers deal with this as well, where they see what they have and they want in,
Wow.
which I'll allow, but at that point it's like, all right, I'm going to be either taking care of you, or you're going to do 50-50. We're going to help each other out, and I'm going 50-50. We're not married. I put myself in that situation wrongfully. I wasn't
Mm.
talking to my stepdad at the time, so that's more than likely why that went down. But that's a
Yeah.
completely different story.
Let's bounce it around a little bit, and we gotta come back to that Birkin conversation. But anyway, man, let's have
yeah.
some other brothers jump in. That's
It was
fine.
Wild.
cartoonish because I understood, like, but I know
Yeah.
y'all know, but I had to look it up, like, because I wasn't really into Prada, all
Oh
that stuff
Lord.
yet.
Oh Lord.
Birkin bag, not only
Oh
do
man.
you have to be able to afford it, you have to be on a list.
Yep.
Yes.
I didn't
We
Yeah.
know that.
we gonna have a bad conversation, but nah, we jumping in, man. Brother Illmatical, go ahead, hop in.
Yeah. Please. I just want to add on, when I was still simping heavily, no, no, no.
Keeping it real.
No, no. I'm gonna keep it real. I
I
Yeah,
respect the
man.
remember,
honesty. I respect the honesty.
I've
when
been
I
there.
had when I had a sister, and and ironically, this woman I'm talking about, she's a YouTuber, a very well known YouTuber. I can't tell you who she is, but we were going out, we were dating, and then she didn't ask me for a Birkin bag, but she tried to come at me with, "Oh, you need to take me shopping," or
Uh,
Oh
if he
man.
takes me somewhere and he doesn't
yeah,
buy me anything, I feel offended.
Oh
that's that.
Lord.
And
I got that
Oh
too. Yep,
Lord.
yeah,
Lord.
so
yep.
um, but I'll let you brothers add on. But I
No.
was there.
Yeah.
I've been hit with that. So all right.
I would
Woo.
last.
No, brother, me is me, man. You've been chomping at the bits, man. We looking forward to hearing from you, brother. Hop on, bro. Hop
Yeah,
on.
man. Yeah. Can y'all hear me, by the way?
Yes, sir.
Yes,
Absolutely
very
Yeah,
well.
sound
we can hear
Yeah.
great.
you.
Yeah.
Yo, first and foremost, man, thank you guys for organizing this. Thanks for being patient. Thanks for including it. This is a good little setup. And I think it was Brolic who said it earlier. I agree
Yep.
with y'all. This is less podcast. This is just me more having a meeting of the minds with the brothers. You know what I'm saying? So
Right.
I love this weekly, man. I love this topic because it's so social media and internet driven, and it's interesting to see
Oh yeah.
people's behaviors,
Yes.
especially when this regard. So what I have to say is also excuse me for the technical difficulties, guys. I was trying to chime in. I was like in the meeting twice with two different accounts. I was like all over the place. So, but no, man, it's funny, man. Every once in a while, you ever guys watch like a movie or a TV show, and there's a character that is just going through their day, moseying along, looking at the sky, counting the birds and chirping and all that kind of stuff, and they don't realize there's a bunch of chaos around them. That was my introduction to this like
Oh Lord.
financial simplification. So I
Mm.
remember when I got out of undergrad, I'm in Atlanta, and I met this girl. We doing our thing, whatever, like that. So I'll give you a mini story, then I'll go into why this is relevant. So I meet her, I talk to her, get her information, we all good, right? My homeboy comes down. Homeboys, actually, a few of them come down to kick it, and we all meet up at her spot first. And I get to her apartment here in Atlanta, and ain't no furniture in there. Now, I'm so green. I'm so green and I'm so like young. I'm like, oh, maybe she just moved in. Like it didn't register with me, right? So, we drinking, we doing our thing, have a great night, do whatever, right? Later in that week, she texts me like on a Wednesday, hey, I need some lunch. Oh, okay. You need some lunch. Okay. Well, yeah, I'm hungry too. Yeah. Man, I can't wait to go home, No. I need some lunch. Can you get it for me? And again, I'm just like walking along, not even thinking, just living life. I'm like, get it for you. well, I don't have a key to your apartment. What are you talking about getting for you? Not knowing that like everything that she's saying, she's hinting at, hey, I need you to send me some bread, until she just got frustrated and gave up. And I bring up that story because I haven't had the as abrasive, buy me a Birkin, buy me a, Dooney and Burke, Gucci, all that kind of stuff. I've heard those stories, but from my experience, man, it's just been meeting chicks here in Atlanta, and then second text message, they asking for the rent money, or they asking for help or something like that. And it's kind of bold, man. So yeah. But so for me, man, I laugh at these stories because I was getting hit up financially for simp like behavior, didn't even realize it. But as time went on, you just meet women out, I guess it's a survival tactic, man, but nothing crazy like, yo, you got to send me $100 to get unblocked or some crazy stuff that I've heard on the internet, man. So,
oh my God.
Yeah.
Nah,
Brolic,
I was gonna say, yeah, and I know a couple brothers. I know brother Scoon went up. I was just gonna say, y'all, again, I am just thankful that I am not in the game. I got out of the game for real. I got out of the game in '09, and I remember, pardon me, get my wife. Her roots are very humble. Her folks are from Arkansas. They cool people. I remember I before I got with my wife, I remember I took a girl asked me to go out to an expensive sushi restaurant, and I was so broke, man. I couldn't handle a $90 ticket. I still think it's crazy for a first date. We'll talk about that later. But man, y'all brothers got it bad. So
No.
but anyway, man, let's get brother
Agreed.
Scoot in, man. I want to hear from everybody, but yeah, hop in real quick, brother Scoot.
Okay, so I guess I'll fill in the gap. So I'm from New York. I have seen this kind of behavior across, I want to say youngest woman I've seen this from probably like mid-20s, like 24, 25. Oldest would be my quote unquote business partner that I parted ways from. I think she turned 47 last month. So very common behavior, insanely common behavior nowadays, especially with like MeIsMe is saying, with the online personas. Kind of moving back into the 50-50 bit, from what I've seen from these women that are looking for people to fail the sugar baby shit test, which is what I think that send me the bread kind of situation is on the first combo.
Yep.
I've just learned that over the years. Yeah, most women will try to, I guess, sell high from jump and pretty much like pressure test it in all kinds of ways in my experience. And then as time goes by, they might like offer the illusion of a 50-50. And depending on how your relationship dynamic is, like that mileage varies. I have been personally in like a cohabitation situation kind of like that. And that was some of the weirdest things ever. I honestly don't think I would have been in that situation if I wasn't fresh out of jail type shit. And I couldn't like get anywhere to rent. So for context, back then, got into a real stupid like DV situation. No humans were harmed in the making of that crime. Got in my processing, whatever have you. That was my 32nd birthday, and maybe like 4 or 5 days later, I'm released. I have nowhere to go. I can't go back to the property to get my things. I did get my stuff, but we're not going to talk about that. And I was effectively like with nowhere to go, no job at the time. I had a really shitty portfolio of like whatever lightweight crypto, didn't have too much money in it. So I think between April and June, homeless, doing whatever, got a job, ended up landing like a 6-figure job while homeless. Interesting kind of situation there. I was making about 115K. Again, this is between April and June. Like I got the job in June, doing my thing there. My girlfriend then at the time proposes a cohabitation situation. For whatever reason, I now understand it was for some kind of financial control, which is kind of stupid because like women need to be smarter than you in order for that to work. Whatever. So like 4 or 5 months down the line, she learns that she doesn't really like me that much. Maybe because I just have things together and I'm going from homeless to almost twice her salary just off the hard work, and she don't get it. I tried getting her throughout her career, leveling up, whatever have you, help her move on to a better job. Ends up cheating on me with some guy that she really wanted to be with. He did not have those financial requirements put on him whatsoever. And I don't know, fast forward a year later after that, she gets pumped and dumped. And yeah, now she's trying to do 50-50 for real with people. I cut her off a while ago. Most recent ex, kind of similar situation. But yeah, the mindset's very much there. Again, selling high and then taking whatever they can get.
Yeah, some chicks want you to, in some situations, to be up underneath them. Just depends on how they've been raised or socialized. They'll often seek out those situations where they can remain dominant. But the minute that you're no longer financially crippled, or below her, then that becomes too much, and that can create friction. So not that is pretty fascinating, man.
So BGS actually spoke on that. He called it different dimensions of hobbling, which is kind of like Stockholm syndrome with somebody that the woman in question kind of is codependent on. I think the context was some movie where guy was tied up to the bed, a 2x4 was put in between
Misery.
My man, I love you.
Misery. Yeah. Okay.
That's
an old movie. Old school movie.
Absolutely.
Is old. Shout out to him though.
So I see a lot of that in these modern relationship dynamics. The men that the 50-50 conversation work on either are like what MeIsMe was saying, like just super naive, or like everyone else is saying, they're very simpish, emotionally codependent to a degree. Emotional maturity is not really there. I've seen it make dudes go broke. I lost 2 good friends of mine to that behavior. One due to crippling drug addiction that kind of stemmed from that, and he kind of withered away, like physically. Very, very sad moment. He was a white guy. And then another younger friend of mine, he took his life over that kind of situation. So
wow.
Yeah, so it's a lesson. It's a lesson to take and like spread to everyone else to make sure, like, hey, do not place your value in the hands of a woman. You will effectively lose everything. I'm pretty sure it's something like that.
Bars.
That is a bar, man.
And that shows how dangerous it is when men lose themselves in a relationship. That shit is dangerous.
Yeah.
You said a word.
Hey, what does the good book say? It says in Proverbs, my son, do not lend your strength to a woman or things that waste kings.
Right. Yep. And
so right. And look, that's not a He-Man woman bashing type proverb. I think really the lesson in that proverb is just, don't worship a woman, worship God. Don't worship a woman. And to your point, a lot of men, when they end up, taking their lives or consuming substances to kind of get over that, it's to mask that pain because they put so much emotionally into that situation, thinking that, this was to be the end all be all. That was really a lot of my coming of age story, whereas maybe I didn't get it up front with the whole hit me up financially simp tactics or simp test. Mine was more so of like, yo, man, you can't put 1,000% into every chick. You just met her at the library. She said hello. Come on, dude. What are you doing? I can laugh at it now, but it's like I see that, and age ain't nothing but a number, man. When you see grown men doing it, it's scary. The stakes are higher versus if you're doing it when you're 15 or something. I didn't mean to interject. Go ahead. Yep.
Illmatical.
Go ahead.
Oh no, I wanted to just add on this situation where we're talking about simping, and when I was coming out of that era, I first got knowledge from the brother Tariq Nasheed. He used to have a series called Mac Lessons.
Yes.
And Tariq really gave birth to all this red pill shit that's on right now. All of this red pill, all the fresh and fit. He was before Kevin Samuels. He was before everybody. Yep. And he was the first person to really point out, if you're going out with a woman, like the first few dates or whatever, just like, like it should be something simple, like nothing expensive. Cause I've wasted a lot of money on first dates, like $150, $200. And yeah, man, I got burned. So I'm talking about very square, and I had to go through that phase and get some knowledge, man. But yeah, I think we all kind of go through it.
Yep.
You know, it's funny, man. You mentioned Tariq McAllister's radio. It's funny, man. I found his it wasn't even called podcast back then. I found his broadcast like 10 years after, like this was like circa 2014, 2015, right? I listened to it in my head, but at work, you know, just laugh because some of this stuff was funny. So there are two things that he said, and one thing that's related to this dating situation. This is why I love that we're coming together. He said, hey, the game changes every decade or so. So you gotta always reevaluate the game. The game changes every few, you know, every 7 to 10 years, whatever like that, sometimes 5 years. And I would argue with the advent of the internet and social media, it's only it's exacerbated. But the second thing he said he would do on a date sometimes. And by the way, I do agree with you. I think he was definitely before all this red pill stuff. But even he said this. He's like, I've had some sons that have gone wayward. Like they've taken what I've given them as gaming, like went way overboard with it, right? Kind of like, you know, to like, and we know the difference between brothers holding women accountable versus brothers who legit just hate women, kind of thing, right? We know the difference, what that sounds like. But one thing, it's funny though, I laugh at this because this is semi-toxic, but it's also very funny. He said, when I would be on a date with a female, we go like to Roscoe Chicken and Waffles because he's like based out there in LA. And he was like, I would give a homeless guy $20 and I would make sure she saw it was $20.
Yes,
and I wouldn't spend no more than $20 on a date, so she knows I ain't gonna spend no more on you than I give to a homeless.
Yes.
Wow.
Yep. Yes, I distinctly remember that. Yes, he did.
So you remind me of that, man, because the more, what's another classic cliche phrase though? The more things change, the more they say the same. So while the game is changing, the game's evolving, it's the same game though.
No, definitely. I think brothers, good point. I think brother Scoon wants to jump in.
Oh, I was gonna keep it simple when it comes to the spending of money on dates. I have the fortune of having culinary skills, so I could kind of judge. I could judge what to do or where to eat, and kind of like balance out price and stuff. So that's nice. And I could just make something and it just be super up there. So I've done that in the past. My policy when it comes to buying stuff, like, the most they're getting is half of what I spend on myself for the day. So I try to not do dates when I go to like a bookstore or something, because I'm easily like dropping 200 on myself.
Ooh, okay. Yeah.
Like happily, and like the return value on that's going on for like 10 years. Like, but yeah, I try to keep it somewhat balanced, and yeah, I wouldn't say there's a ingrained expectation of reciprocity. I kind of just like keep it in the back of my mind, like, yo, if they try to push anything after this, ejecto, cedo, and you just had a nice separate.
Wow. Nah, man, you brothers share some interesting perspectives. Once again, I'm glad I'm out of the game, man. But given that, you know, we're in a high inflationary type of environment, man. I mean,
yes,
if we're keeping it real, man, over the past 4 years, man, everything's gone up, specifically food inflation. Again, this is in my wheelhouse from a career aspect. Food inflation is relatively up, 20% over the past 4 years. There's no place to hide, right? And obviously, what I've come to find is that for you brothers who are out there in the dating space, again, you have to put your hand in your wallet quite a bit more. And then once you find yourself in a relationship, you know, we talk about this 50-50 concept. Some people are, you know, scoffing at it, but I think given that the fact that prices are going up and wages aren't keeping up, if you are in a committed relationship, this is how I look at it. I mean, you have to be realistic. And I'll speak to my situation as a married man. You know, I do well for myself, and my wife has always worked, but I got a great opportunity, moved me across the country, same my fam, and I tried having my wife transition from working woman to stay-at-home mom. Failed miserably. In fact, love my wife, love her to death, but I fired her. She's terrible at it. Okay?
Wow.
And she admits it. She's not the type. You know,
that's right.
But given the fact that right around 2022, that's when the prices started going up, and my wife's spending habits didn't change, right?
Well,
For lack of better words, we put her back on the road. No, I shouldn't say that. We had her working, right? my wife got back to working, which she's a working woman. She's a good woman, and I think the vast majority of people in this country are workers, right? Whether you're a
Right.
man or a woman, and even going back to part of the 1960s, this nonsense that it was just, it was grandpappy, your granddaddy who did all the work, and that's nonsense too, because one way or the other, your grandma, your great grandma, they was working, whether that was as a service person, a maid. My grandma did that. People have always worked. So this, to me, the concept of people scoffing at 50-50 is ridiculous. And so out of necessity, given this environment, it is important for you to have two incomes. And my wife works
Mm.
and she contributes, and we're in a better spot. So again, I just
Good.
want to hear from you guys who were, again, dating women, or you're in those early phases, and you're thinking about cohabitating together. What are you guys, experiencing around this current environment and the idea of sharing, your finances together?
Okay, this is gonna be fun. um, in practice, it's very much like the story of Frankenstein. Uh, Effectively, you want to lay out the program or the plan. Hopefully, again, super large air quotes, there's some kind of consensus or cooperation. Again, recent experiences, there's a lot of self-sabotage involved in that kind of engagement. And my most recent girlfriend, all right, so I'll put it like this. I've been out of work, mostly contracting, doing per diem things for the last 3 years, across tech, culinary, whatever I can, whenever I can. She's been working this entire time. I have never needed her to send me a dime.
Okay.
I could look at how much stuff I sent her and then like kind of do the math of what she makes per her income, and then like I've helped her manage her expenses. Similar to what you were saying, her spending habits didn't change. I noticed that with the younger women, they're a lot more risk on. They look for fast money. So online gambling has become kind of like a common thing. With the stock craze, with like the Robin Hoods and stuff. And I would say like the YouTube hype, they try to get into crypto. I know a lot of younger women that get caught in like the pump and dumps, not really knowing what to do. And I would say there's like an extreme minority, like out of my ex's friends, only like one person is somewhat economically minded, successful, and was able to get a good return through like a custodian. So the need is there. The awareness that spending habits are forcing this situation for them is also there. There just seems to be this weird stubbornness or unwillingness to really yield. Like, I don't know if it's a control thing, because that's what it seemed like it was when I was leaving my ex. But yeah, like I built her up a little portfolio. She did some weird shit, stopped talking to me. So it's there for her. So it's like they don't even make it that far in terms of cooperation more often than not, in my experience.
Yeah, there's no dopamine rush in that until in the long haul there is, but short
What
term,
the
like
fuck?
exactly like you said.
What the? How are these people going to survive in an economy? I'm gonna fall back off of that.
The interesting thing is, though, is like, particularly in the Black community, we've never not been 50-50. Never.
Never. Oh, hell no.
Right.
Even, and I don't know where, and I specifically talk about the Black community because I don't know. It sometimes it seems like there's some of us who look at other communities and try to take the best from that community, and then there's some of us who look at other communities and then try to take what we think is the best, but twist it to our own sick, selfish advantage, right? Every sister you come again, internet Black people, internet African Americans are not the same as real African Americans. I'll put it like that.
Oh, 1,000.
Oh.
1,000.
Yes, that is
I take that. So I take that with a grain of salt, man. But I will say, there are some sisters, though, they'll have you thinking every white girl they work with is a stay-at-home mom, when in actuality you're working with her for a reason, dude. You know what I'm saying? Like, if every white woman had a husband that was a provider, man, that's like become the new social media, lingo for a man who pays for everything and don't ask no questions and lets me be lazy. But if every woman had that, then you wouldn't have any white coworkers, in which we know sisters have white coworkers. They complain about them all the time. So that being the case, man, like even since slavery, when we weren't even getting paid, we had a 50-50 dynamic. You know,
Yes.
there was a lot of things that Black men did to hold things down, because 50-50 is necessarily not always financial too. That's another point.
1,000.
So, and actually I want to ask you, because I think you make a good point. You said, okay, you fired your wife from being a stay-at-home mom / wife. What kind of led to that? And I bring that up because I think a lot of women think they want that, but I don't know about y'all. I've been gainfully employed, then I've lost my job. Being unemployed is the most boring shit in the world, dog. Like,
Yeah. Now you hit the nail on the head. One thing that I noticed out of my wife is she struggled with it for a while. Again, coming out of COVID, that was when we made this transition. But I think she struggled with the lack of purpose. And I think human beings, male, female, you have to have purpose.
Yes.
And my wife went from working, having a process, getting up every single day, to just simply being at home. And it didn't work out. I mean, I'm just gonna call what it is. It was awful. The expectation, to your point, again, 50-50 isn't always financial. It's a matter of expectations and roles, which
right.
I'm gonna call it what it is. I don't think we haven't been raised to be traditional male or a traditional husband wife, right? That's out the door. But
Yes.
the expectation for me was that, all right, I'm handling all the finances. All right, beloved, you take care of the house and the kids. But if you have not been in that mode, and that's not your thing, because I was paying for people every now and then to come clean the house. If that's not your jam, it's hard to turn that switch on. So my wife struggled with some of the expectations that I thought were going to automatically kick in, and with purpose. So for that reason, again, I candidly, I wasn't getting what I thought I was getting by my quote unquote sacrifice. And for her, she didn't have purpose. We both came to the conclusion that, all right, in order for things to work with us, you need to find your purpose, which is working, which is fine. And also, again, boredom also leads to idle habits such as excessive spending at times.
Yes.
Hey, nah, okay, well, one way or the other, we got to bring in more income. So that I don't know if that answers the question, but that's how it was for us.
No, it definitely does, man. I just think people have this fairy tale of not working, and I even think, and I'll let Brolic hop in here because I know he got some fire to give, but I just know that people work all their whole lives just so they can reach retirement and not work, and then when they reach retirement, they're bored out of their mind and they want to work again. So I just don't think, whether we're just talking about relationship dynamics and 50-50 or even your own life, I just don't make your life not being about working and handling business, because you have more work days in the work week than you have the weekends for a reason, right? So go ahead, Brolic.
1,000.
Oh, thank you, man. Thank you. Yo, Riff, I just a question about what you just said. How your wife felt that she didn't have a purpose, and
Yeah.
I've encountered that in past relationships with women where, and it always happened when there was this kind of dynamic where I'm trying to push them into their role, like what I think is their natural role, or push them in whatever delusional type of thing they want to do, and they kind of won't budge into either direction but still complain about purpose. So, and I've learned through a few relationships, like I stopped trying to push them into doing the whatever career they're trying to do. Like, I'm not your dad, I can't make you do your homework. But then I started pushing them more towards the traditional role of me saying, like, hey, I'll take care of you if you help me out, because if you help me out, I can do better in my career. I don't have to worry about the little things. But they don't want. So what is that in between space a lot of women are in? Because it seems to be in a
Right.
large age gap or age group as well.
Well, I mean, just in general, bro, and I know we got to jump to some other folks, but I think we have to. This is my personal belief. I think we got to reevaluate relationships, modern relationships, and marriage.
Yes.
Traditional stuff typically goes out the door, man, and it's all based on your circumstances. But the idea of, I think, the idea of just the man doing everything, working himself down to nothing, and then passing away, I think that's stupid.
Right.
Especially
Yes.
when people are more educated than what they've ever been. Women are now educated. They now have the ability to bring in income. Why wouldn't you want that? So I actually, and my wife, candidly, also doesn't respect. It's funny. She doesn't respect stay-at-home women either. She just has a mentality, which
Wow.
I'm sure a lot of you guys have probably encountered with a lot of women. Some women want it, but some women don't respect it, and partly because maybe they saw it coming up from their own mother. But no, I mean,
Right.
this environment that we are in, we have to learn how to collaborate and work with each other. And you can't force one person to do one thing or the other. What I've come to grips with in my almost 15 plus years of marriage is you got to find a way to complement someone's strengths. I know what my wife's good at. I know what I'm good at, and but I also don't hold back. I tell the truth. If I have an expectation, I because I love my wife, I'm gonna go to the mat. We're gonna battle it out. But I've had to be very vocal and direct to get the things that I need too, though. But again, it's just a matter of having that communication, being very direct, but also explaining like, hey, we're in a different environment. This is what we need as a team. Here's where you fit in. And sometimes it's not going to be received right away, but just because it ain't received right away doesn't mean you stop. You keep pushing until you get what you need, and vice versa. Because my wife and women are much better than this at us. They will tell you what they need until they get it. So I think brothers also have to start doing that as well.
Yep.
So,
Good points.
so you think that it's something they inherently want to do or don't want to do? Like that's where I'm kind of like,
I can
how
speak
do I-
on it.
yeah, yeah. Go ahead, go ahead.
So I think it comes down to maturity level and overall mindset. I would say analogous to a marriage. I wouldn't use like any of my dating or relationship experience. I'm going to use my business development experience because I have co-operated ventures, quote unquote, with women of color. The most recent thing I dissolved was pretty much based on like my colleague. She's a couple years old. She's in her 40s, black woman, wanted to do some workforce development stuff, and we dissolved because of that imbalance. I found myself not only implicitly, which again, going back to that explicit communication is paramount. That builds trust, that builds rapport and predictability. You need that for a successful business. But things were implicitly put on my shoulders. So I'm expected to build out a product, figure out bankroll, like cap table, business checking account, rates, initial deposit, things that a business founder should ideally be responsible for. Setting up conversations with venture capitalist investors, filling out program forms, all while like still expected to build out the initial product on my own. Plus customer acquisition, which was kind of the turning point for me.
Mm-hmm.
Um, so I would address regularly like, hey, we need to sit down and like chop up the work. We like most recently we got admitted into a program for 4 months. We had until June to demo to whoever in New York that's part of their investor community to get something like pre-seed. The entire time between I guess like program start to me leaving, nothing was done in terms of building out towards the business. Everything on her end was towards trying to get white guy money.
Mm.
Like the VC money, for lack of better term, because we're talking like A16OZ, like Andreessen Horowitz stuff, and the other big like tech programs that don't understand what we're doing. Me seeing that, and I'm like, we want to succeed. Those guys know numbers. Those guys know sales. They know people on the product. So I started reaching out to my community orgs out in Brooklyn because we have workforce issues in terms of talent development, getting people into jobs, and sustaining folks long enough for them to actually work long term. That's what we were targeting. I started reaching out to those folks. I let her know that I'm like, hey, I need you to stop trying to appeal to white guys and like, let's approach this and make our money the proper way.
Mm.
Got completely cut from communication. I got a plethora of excuses. I got a Google Doc telling me what I should be doing. And this is the byproduct of another convo I had with her. I'm like, yo, we are a team. You are not my boss. I'm not your
Mm-hmm.
I'm not your YN. I'm not your LN. I'm not your bitch. I'm none of that. I'm like, if you feel that way and I love you with all of my heart, you're gonna have to square up with me.
Ooh.
And
Wow. Go ahead, bro.
I was going to go back to what Riffy was saying. about the whole concept of you know, man, work yourself to the bone and die when you're 80 with a broken back and
Exactly.
you know, that's whatever. Again, that's never been a story in the Black community. Never. If anything, and if it
Until
actually
soft life.
exactly, if anything, the closest thing to that in the Black community was grandpap works his tail off, gets, you know, maybe he's in the military, gets a GI Bill loan or gets a home loan or something like that, buys the big house for Big Mama, yet
Yes.
we forget all his contributions and we just act like Big Mama did all on her own when that wasn't the case. So there wasn't no single parent households like that back then. There wasn't. The Black community had marriage rates through the roof from slavery all up until the Moynihan report or the Moynihan,
Moynihan report.
The Moynihan report and the rise of the single parent household. So my point being is that a lot of the Black wealth that we do have generationally, the few of us that do have that, all of it, like every other American, is tied up in your home. And it was your grandpappy that made that happen. Then he died before, because men tend to die before women do, of all races, by the way. And then he passed it on to Big Mama. But we've allowed this Mr. What's his name? Not Mr. Tibbs. That's from Raising the Sun. We've what's the brother's name from Color Purple who was beating her up all the time? We've allowed that.
Mr.
Mr. was his name. I was trying to give him another name. We've allowed this mystification of Black men and just like, and when you keep that into the financial conversation, you almost have sisters like acting entitled towards it before you never even lived that life. So,
well, can I
ahead,
ask
go, bro. Yep. No, you go, bro.
I want to ask.
Go ahead.
This 50-50 conversation. You pointed out that I think it was brother MeIsMe pointed out, you know, the Black community, for the most part, from what I can remember, you know, my parents worked any of my friends I know who are married, both of the, you know, both husband and wife are working. I want to ask, did this 50-50 discussion become more paramount with the rise of feminism, with the whole concept of having partners versus traditional roles? Is that something that's being pushed?
That's a good question. And that is a question for, I'm curious, is that a social media thing too? Because I've never heard this before.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
My point was, I think it's social media, man, to be honest with you, because it's really only been heavily pushed again amongst the African American of the internet community in the past few years, really. So, man, I don't think it's a feminism type thing, because it's a direct contradiction too. You know, if you're so independent, if you're so strong, then why do you need the man to pay for everything? Wouldn't you want to prove your strength and validity in the relationship by carrying your own load?
You know what? It's not feminism that pushed that. It's the sugaring culture. There we go.
The tricking culture. The tricking.
Yeah. I'll speak to that because I know some young women that like fish for people who do that shit. Like Findom and all that fun
Speaking
stuff.
of Shannon Sharp, by the way, right?
Big fat. Yeah, big bait. He fell for big bait. I feel bad for him, but I digress. When it came to 50-50, I remember that being initially presented as a pejorative kind of term for the sugar baby community, because that would 50-50 for them was like, I guess, the brokey, dusty kind of remark, because sugar baby's ultimate goal is live a consequence-free life subsidized by wealthy, typically older white dude. I know a lot of younger women from New York, probably like getting into their late 20s now, that are still into that and still look for that. And yeah, like that's pretty much it. Like, I've never seen it anywhere else.
Yeah, because that doesn't make any, the 50-50 conversation ridiculous. And I mean, I think, Brother Illmatical, you made a point about feminism. I mean, just think about it though. I mean, the civil rights movement, the freedom rights movement was hijacked. And in turn, the civil rights movement, which jobs that should have went to Black men were ultimately given to white women. So again, they were elevated automatically. And so in so many ways, without them really even trying, they were able to build that wealth and they had that job. And therefore, I mean, it was kind of built in, right? That they're working together, you know? So that's where this whole 50-50 conversation, I think it's also just another way for a segment of women to denigrate specifically Black men as nothings, or, you know, people who can't do anything for themselves or can't contribute to a relationship. I think it's just another way for people for that demographic to denigrate black men. Brother Mo, me is me. Hop in real quick.
Yeah, brother, I agree with you too, and I also think that it's just a pack mentality type thing. A lot of these ladies try to compete with each other on social media. And knowing damn well you're not even doing 50-50, you're doing 80-20, and you're paying the 80 in the relationship you in, and you keep being with this dude too, but they try to show out in front of each other, man. And I guess it's no different from guys too. We try to act like we really wearing the pants more than we really are, try to have some false bravado. But ultimately, I think going back to Ill's question, which was a great question, I do think it's more of a symptom of social media, trying to show out, trying to brag, and live a falsehood that is not reality.
Very good. Good points.
So I had a question. So with those of us in relationships, I know Riff, you said you're pretty much, the breadwinner in your relationship, and I am as well. So sometimes like, okay, so when I want my girl to go, grab some food for me that we order for pickup, or I'm, still shopping, but she has all the items, so I'll hand her my card to go pay for it. Sometimes I get kind of looks like, he's not paying for, oh, she's taking care of him, like he's the typical type. Like I get, especially from black women, like I could be paranoid sometimes, but I get the dirty, like the up and like, kind of sideways look. And I don't, I'm not gonna, oh no, that's my card actually, I'm paying, I'm not gonna do that.
Well, you know what? Embrace that, man. I mean, I personally wouldn't care, because in some situations too, man, you out there too flashy. If you gonna look like food, and if one thing I've learned about women is that they're competitive, and if you the cat that's out there, taking care of your wife, that some women will gun for you in that scenario, man. But in that regard, bro, just let that one slide. I mean, if you want, let it be. No, I mean, I've always learned at some point, man, that people don't need to know what's really going on. If you think my wife, like, there's people who think my wife, for whatever reason, gives off this. I've gone shopping for my wife. So again, I'm married, so we talk about this tricking. We'll have to have a conversation about how you elevate the gift game with your wife, and how you do it in steps, because you don't jump up too quickly.
No, never.
The idea of buying Coach was a thing for me. I'm like, I'm not buying you a Coach right away. You get assistant coach, right? Dooney and Burke.
Coach.
But before we get up to Louis and all
my girl
that
get
stuff,
the offensive coordinator, man.
Yeah. I mean, but there's conversations, and there's things that they got to do to earn that stuff, man. But bro, you don't worry about none of that stuff, man.
Well, Brolic, I feel you on that though, man, because I bought my first home recently, and Thank you, man. So, but it's in a good neighborhood, in Atlanta, and
nice.
It's
in Atlanta.
Great resale value in the city, and it's.
Is it a new build?
You say it again?
Is it a new build?
No, it's actually historic. But my home is 105 years old. They're
wait,
the neighborhood.
Wait, you got a frame from the 30s?
1920, actually 1920, the 20s.
That's
actually.
even better.
So it's one of these up and coming ones, man. A lot of. Not even Black Hollywood. I mean, Hollywood is here in Atlanta, right? I mean, it's just a great city financially. That being said, my mom spends a lot of time over here, kicking it. I don't mind it. I moved her down here and everything like that. She has her own crib, but she spends a lot of time over here. But brother, your story made me laugh though, because complete strangers that I don't know and don't pay my bills, I'll still feel like, man, they're gonna think this is my mama house, and I'm not doing it. And I'm like, I had to check myself. Like, why do I care? Like, these people do not pay the mortgage. I'm paying the mortgage. Like, why do I care what they think? But it's funny though, man. Like, it's something within us that taps into. I don't know if it's ego or what, but it's like, yo, I got this. No, this is my house. My mama ain't got nothing to do with it.
That's what I'm thinking. Like, I'm taking care. I'm paying. I'm shopping. I'm paying for this. I'm doing this down payment. This is my money. It's not her money. She just hold my card because she just do what I say.
Exactly.
For the most part. Yeah.
But then you honestly, bro, but if you ever were to, and this goes for me too, if I were to ever stop one of my white neighbors or one of my black, what I'm saying, and say, hey, just so you know, this is my house, I would look like a damn idiot. I would look like the most insecure dude. But what's funny though? It's those brothers who do have their mamas taking care of them. It's those brothers who do have their chick taking care of them. That's what kind of it's all for
And
one for all, whether you
yeah,
want it to be or not. You know what I'm saying?
I see it, and I see the jokes about it, and I know just stereotype. It's like I get on the basketball court and it's like a bunch of
Right,
white people. They're like, oh, he's good.
right, exactly.
He's good. So
Husband, son,
it's the
husband, son.
negative stereotype where it's like, oh, she paying for it. Like
Right.
that's her platinum card. It's
And
like
we
no
and
no
we
no no no.
never and we never get that benefit of the doubt as being seen as individuals,
No.
and you have to figure that out. We are DMX, we're Jay-Z, we're Shannon Sharp, we're all
Yep.
these guys in
Damn.
one. We're all of them.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
Yes.
Oh yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. I
You
mean,
know, like Ice Cube said,
yeah.
we're one
Yeah.
big nigga, like Ice Cube said.
Oh, no doubt, no doubt. And I just side note, that's why when I go to the airport, I always wear a suit because the one time that I didn't wear a suit in the airport, I mean, I recognize that they treat you different, right?
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Nobody knows what I do professionally until I get
Yeah.
into the room. But unless I'm dressed a certain way, if I'm in a hoodie chilling, you gonna dress me appropriately, and you won't realize that I'm. And I think I'm amongst top caliber brothers on this call, but you're
Mhm.
going to treat me based on how I dress, how I look that particular way. So if I just want to wear a couple of some kicks and a hoodie, I get treated accordingly. But when I dress up, I'm sir. But to your point, man, we are all those brothers one way or the other. It's just amazing how there's no mask, there's no real uniform, no one way or the other. We are who we are.
And this is just a little bit away from the topic, and we'll get back on the financial tip of it. But it's funny though, to hear any one of us talk, you say we talk white, but when we want to wear a hoodie, oh, we being too black. Which one is it?
Right, right.
Yo, don't get me
Code
started,
switching
man.
may not be
they
a
want
real
you
thing
at
for
Will
us, right?
Smith.
Yeah, like
They
which
want
one is
that
it,
Will
bro?
Smith.
Like,
They want that Will Smith level black, where you black, but like you don't make them uncomfortable, but at the same time you kind of make the
Yeah,
obvious
yeah.
white black. They want you this perfect type of black. That's what it
Yep.
is. Like
oh well, too bad. It ain't
yeah,
happening to me.
It's not going to happen.
Nah.
One way or the other. And again, it took me a while to understand this, but after a while, I just started to embrace it. And I think some of us may go through when you get in the corporate environment. You have to accept who you are
Yeah.
all the way
Right.
through and through.
Yeah.
There's really no need to code switch because at the end of the day, you cannot change the color of your damn skin.
Yep.
And so
Absolutely.
it took me a while to realize that. And then once I realized that, my career took off and I was me.
Hmm.
And life just got better. But when you are in this situation where you have these mental complexes where you act inferior because you're not happy with who you are, and I'm not saying that's you guys, but this is just stuff that I
Right.
see.
No,
These are the
yeah,
people
I've
who are
seen it.
stuck. And
Yeah.
at some point I had to realize that nah, man, and I believe this, my skin color is a superpower because I come in there, you
Yep.
have low expectations for me, but I bring it. And when I get in the room, I show you that I'm better than you. And when you see
Right.
that it's me who's better than you as somebody who's black, can't say shit to me.
Nope.
Right.
Right. And the funny
Love
thing
that.
is that the more authentic you are with it, the more they actually like you anyway.
Like you. The
which is
Yeah.
weird.
1,000,
Yep.
1,000.
You
It's
got to
the
1,000.
understand
grudging.
too. A lot of times they're confused in their own minds about what they like and who they are. So you're trying to. So I'm speaking of Brolic because we have the same story. It's like we're trying to appease psychopaths. What's the point?
No,
Just do you.
that's
Like,
it.
Straight up. Straight up.
That's
Yeah.
Go
bars,
ahead, go
man.
ahead.
what's the
Yeah.
next bullet point, man, on the thing? Because we got a good little cadence going up, but I thought there were some things that I didn't want to gloss over.
Yeah.
I didn't mean to go on a tangent, man.
No,
My
no,
bad.
no. This we chopping it up, man. I mean, yeah,
We good.
now some other
Yeah.
things that we just needed to, we were speaking to relationships. I think that's the most important piece.
Right.
Modern relationships this time, whether again you're married or you're in a relationship or you are actively pursuing a woman. Those are the things that we're focusing on. I think the other thing that we can focus on before we wrap it up, man, is just how do you avoid the finesse? And what I mean by that is, how do you avoid the woman who just sees you as a free meal, not being, you don't be labeled as, lunch or dinner on the phone versus somebody who really wants to build with you. How are you guys identifying that? Again, I've been out the game for 15 years. How are y'all identifying that? Go so Illmatical, hop in, man. We ain't heard from you in a minute, bro.
No, I'm just gonna add on, man. I think that's done during the inception of the dating. That lady, if she's serious about you, if she doesn't care about you don't have to spend any money on her at all. And I think that if she's beyond the point where I've heard women say that they don't do coffee dates, put a line right through her fucking name immediately.
Yep.
Yeah.
If she can't take a walk in the park with you and kick it, if this is somebody you're serious about, then I mean if you're interested and genuinely interested, and she's an adult, like she's over
Mm-hmm.
the age of 25, and she can't kick it with you in the park and just talk, man, don't. That's a waste of time. So I think that in terms of just dating, that initial, those initial several months, and if just getting to know each other, if that first month, that first or second month, if she's the kind of person she can't even just do something simple with you and get to know you, it's a waste of time. And she's playing games, and watch whatever games that she's possibly, or whatever traps that she may be trying to introduce, because she's going to test you. They all test you.
Yeah.
Man, we might have to go a whole nother hour on just avoiding the finesse, man, because this
Oh,
is
yeah.
game. There's just things that
Yeah.
brothers need to understand and know. But nah, we might have to do a separate build on avoiding the finesse. But nah, next brother, hop in.
Yeah, so as of now, I love your breakdown, Brolic. So you nowadays they'll say it one way or another. Either it'll be super early on with prerequisites of material, nature, or further down the road when honeymoon phase is over, or just when the mask slips, especially nowadays since women post very candid moments for attention and validation. My ex pretty much got stuff on Facebook, stuff on TikTok, pretty sure stuff on Instagram. I've been locked out for like 2 years, so I really don't care to check. But yeah, I've seen it. I was like, writing's on the wall. Let me just let shit fizzle out. The women will say it one way or another these days, and then outside of that, just let them talk about themselves. 9 out of 10 times they're going to speak about one of their habits that indicates like regular spending or consumption. Things that tip me off would be traveling, gambling, appreciation of different kinds of alcoholic beverages, and weed. Really, like those are always dead giveaways that I'm going to be dealing with that kind of situation.
Interestingly enough, though, I think the best way to kind of answer this question of how do you avoid the trick bag is, what are you okay with tolerating? I had an ex that she was very blunt about, I don't think one should get married for love. I think it's a business. I think marriage is business. I think that, if we want to, before I'm going to take the next step and grow in our relationship, I need some assurances financially. I need to know that I can take a trip once a month, once a quarter. I need to know how much I can be able to spend for it. And then I'll have assurances that I give to you. For some men, they're cool with that.
Yeah.
And some men are so jaded that they're like, you know what? It's all the same anyway. So let's just get it out there in the open. Some men, maybe I'll raise my own hand. I guess you can, all the internet nomenclature, red pill, purple pill, blue pill. I still believe true love does exist. I know women do have the ability to love. It's just a matter, do they love you, right? So I think ultimately, man, you can't lie to yourself. One thing I was really bad about when I was younger was making excuses for bad behavior. So if you see something, man, trust your gut, man, because people will tell you who they really are. You just got to believe them. So, yeah.
Good points. Yeah.
Psychological dowry. That's a very interesting term. I like that. Psychological dowry. That's game right there. I like that.
Yeah, actually, ex's best friend kind of like let that slip out in the open dialogue. I was just like, cool. Yeah, I get it.
Psychological dowry. Wow.
Man, y'all keep going, brothers. Keep going.
But yeah,
Well, can I add on?
Yes.
Briefly? I just want to say, since 2010, I've been out the United States for 7 years cumulatively, and I just want to mention all of these like gymnastics. Even when you date American women in foreign countries, they don't do this. They don't pull any of this bullshit. I'm not even talking about foreign women. American women, when you date them in Mexico, if you're living in a foreign country, they don't pull any of this bullshit. They're the most simplest because they know that they have to be simple. So I think that this is something specific to the culture, and they just want to see what kind of game that they can run on you. However, I just want to add something. Women in foreign countries, they run game as well. It's just different.
Yes.
And also say I'm not a passport bro for anybody who's listening, so I don't want them thinking I'm in that crowd. But that's another show. But the game is there. It's conditional, and it's just different. It's specific to the culture.
Is it
So what's an
conditional or is it
example of that?
transactional? Sorry, my
Yeah,
bad,
what's
brother.
the we're probably asking the same question. Like, what's an example of that you've seen?
Which one? Foreign women or American women?
Yeah, foreign women and their
Okay,
game.
foreign. Okay, oh, foreign women. Okay, easy. So like foreign women. I'll give example. Like in Vietnam, I was in Vietnam, and what some women will do is they'll cozy up to you in expat circles, and then like you think that she's cool, and then like a month in, it's like, oh, I got my aunt needs help with her rent,
Yep.
or it's like it comes out of the blue. So
Hmm.
foreign women play the games as well. It's just they go about it differently. They don't. I haven't had a lot of foreign women say, "Hey, you need to spend X, Y, and Z on a first date." They're usually very simple, but some of the trap will come like they'll set their traps differently. That's what I'm saying.
Right. Right. Okay. It sounds kind of similar, like, women trying to get money out of you first for security, like almost like an investment
Well,
in a
yeah,
way.
well, look, that whole 50-50 shit goes out the door. In foreign countries, if you, especially if they know you're American, you're expected to be the provider because the men in their
Mm.
cultures are usually the providers. It's just to what degree.
And the
And
expectation is most
the
likely higher.
expectations, and it's just the way that they go about the presentation. But
All right. And I was gonna say,
yeah,
culturally too, though, aren't you expected to, help with their family members, say,
yeah,
mom and
that's
dad?
that.
Isn't that
No,
part of the
no,
culture, or is that
no.
just
It just
specific to? Yeah, you
it
talk
depends
to it.
on no, it depends on which country. But like some countries, like Cambodia, man. Like they want you to take care of the whole family, extended cousins and aunts
Whoa.
and
Oh, you the village
yeah,
chief
yeah,
then,
so,
man.
yeah,
You better call me
yeah,
chief.
yeah. But
But
at
do they put
firstly,
those? But
but
do they put those same expectations on natives from that
yeah,
country, or they only do it to the expats?
yes,
They
yeah,
assume it's
yeah.
French.
No, they're very much like I was gonna say they're very much about family and they're family
Gotcha.
oriented and the
Yeah.
women do reciprocate. You come home at 11:30 at night from hanging out, she's gonna have your food ready for you. So it's like there
Sounds
is
like
a
a dream.
reciprocation. It's not a dream because there's other shit that you got to deal with in a foreign country. I don't want to deviate too
That's
far.
true. Right.
I just want to bring it back. I just want to point out that in terms of like this whole, but the crazy thing is when you meet, like I was dating a sister, a Dominican sister in Mexico, and she was she when I first met her, and she lives on the same street as my Airbnb. She was like, "Oh, I don't chase." And I was like, all right, bitch, whatever. So like a few months later, she got real cool. She got real cool. And then like, she bought me some groceries. And she saw I wasn't chasing her because I didn't have to. Because I think what happens is a lot of these women, when they go live in a foreign country, they're not desired. It
Mm.
doesn't matter if
Yeah.
they're Caucasian, it doesn't matter if
Right.
they're Caucasian, black.
Mm-hmm.
The men that travel to a foreign country, they want the local women. They want the women that are there. So they get humbled real quickly and they don't have that kind of attitude. None of that pretense about expensive dating and all this other stuff that goes right out the window. So I think it's something that's specific to America. And I think it's definitely something that's within the culture.
It's like
But
an
she did. Oh, go ahead, man.
international
Mhm.
my bad. It's like an international double standard where it's like if you're an American man, more money, cool, but if you're an American woman, well, we already don't like Americans most likely, and you have that American woman esque, whatever about the aggression, whatever about you. So the whole passport, the thing that the women were trying to do is, it was a bad idea from the jump, and it kind of makes sense.
So my
Yeah.
question is to everybody is, we've obviously all been kids, we've grown men, right? And sometimes when you're growing up, the only reference you have is what you've lived, your lived experiences. So I wonder, let me ask you guys, what at what age, but more so what events? Because I think the age we would agree is like 28 to 29, 30, especially in the black community, it's like 30, 31. What event happens in a woman's life to where all of a sudden that same dude she wouldn't give the time of day now looks really, really attractive because you found out he
Oh,
makes 300K a year? Like what
Oh boy.
what event happens to them? What
and
happens to them that makes them, because dude, there's a switch. And I don't know if it's like they're about to be a mommy mode, their body's saying, hey, it's time to procreate. Okay, we need resources to make
Uh-huh.
it happen.
Uh-huh.
Like what is it?
Okay.
Like what happens, man?
Ooh, that's a loaded
What's
one,
the
but it's a couple.
It's
yeah.
Yeah, yeah, it's
it's a
loaded. I'm
bit
gonna
of
let
a
y'all
it's
talk. Yeah.
I'll just say it's a bit of a slap in the face as well. Just remember that she's trying to run it back. That's
you mean
all
by
it
that?
is.
Hold on, break that down.
Run,
Hold on, what you
or
mean by
she's
that?
trying to run it back. She went through her list. She got, she
Oh,
met some new players, and it's either meet even more players up,
right,
up in that body count,
right.
or start from the top.
Got you. Okay, fair
And you
enough.
just
Right.
happen to
Oh,
be number three, four. So
yep.
it's a bit of a slap in the face. But I still hit. It was my one of my it was my high school crush.
Oh
I still
Lord.
beat. I don't regret it. We both got, well, I got what I want, but yeah, that's that.
Hey man, she chose to settle. That's on her. Literally,
Ah,
like
Hey,
mental
yeah.
forward.
That's what it is.
yeah,
That's what
it's
it
a bit
is.
of a slap in the face. So this, if they hit you back up, take it with a grain of salt, because
Right.
You know,
Is this
Right.
called spinning the block? I'm trying to catch up
Yes,
with this
yeah,
yes,
lingo.
Yeah,
exactly,
there
yes.
you go.
exactly,
There you go.
Okay,
exactly.
okay, okay, okay.
I
Nah,
guess
yeah.
I guess to liken it to something in a more financial space, when it comes to their SMV, as they talk about it in the popular dating YouTube, whatever's, she's kind of like holding the bag of her value in that
Mhm.
situation, and only people who are willing to put an order up at all are not people that she wants. So I guess I could definitely see resentment there. I've experienced that myself. Yeah.
Well,
And I guess for me, the obvious thing is, if she has one or two kids and she's a single mom, okay, that's obvious now why she wants a good guy now, right? But
There's that.
I'm talking about the woman that was the hot girl, the woman that's in VIP, the woman who ain't got to pay for nothing. She can just show
Mm-hmm.
up, look at who she is.
Mm-hmm.
So
What happens
she's a bag holder. That's the
exactly?
bag
So
holder.
what happens in her mind, or what happens in her life? Was she short on her rent? What happens that now all of a
and
sudden she wants that dude? She's willing to go for a guy that's 5'6".
She's
and
looking
Okay.
what
around,
is her,
bruh.
Hey,
and what is her
I got
Yeah.
this.
Instagram?
I'm
That's
5'5". I can speak on that shit, but go
Oh
first,
damn!
bro.
All right,
Yeah,
short king, I
yeah.
respect it.
No, we got a lot of questions. And what is her Instagram like? Especially, who is she? What?
It's so funny.
Are you y'all silly,
No,
man?
well,
She sounds specific, and said
No,
she
no,
was
no.
bad. I'm like, what?
no, that's
I'm joking. I'm joking. I'm joking.
Because this type of woman is in every major city. She's everywhere, man. She's ubiquitous.
Back.
Yeah,
well, no. I
So it's
mean,
like,
she sees the auntie too. But what's happening, and why I say
Yes.
the auntie, she's
yeah.
looking around, and again, typically, I think the woman you're describing is, let's just call it early to mid 30s. That's starting to
yep.
get this inkling,
Mm-hmm.
and what's
mm,
happening is she's now starting to find herself in circles where women are, she hasn't been chose yet, right?
Right.
I mean,
Yeah.
she's starting to see that her social network, maybe they're finally making that decision to get married, and she's getting left
Mhm.
out, right? I mean,
Yes.
my wife has a friend group, and of her friend group, I think, let's just call it 10 women. Out of those 10, only two are married, and that's my wife and another.
Mm.
And
damn.
Wow.
so, and we are in those bourgeois, the boule, if you will, environment,
Yeah,
and these women are starting to look around, and they're like, God dang it, man, I got to get in this environment, and to be in some of these environments, you need to be married, and so that's where they do start to spin the block. They look at that younger guy who maybe in his 20s was just you know figuring it out. Now that he's in his 30s, he's starting to advance in his career. Oh, hey, big head.
yeah.
You back on the table.
Yo, there it
I
is.
still hit. I don't care.
Well, let me speak to a situation prior because I joke with y'all, man. I mean, prior my wife. She locked your boy down, right? And I used to be out there. But there was a chick who let's say I was 20, right?
Mhm.
And I was messing around with a chick who had a she had a baby early, right? And we messed around and whatnot, but later on we stopped talking for whatever reason. She just thought I was corny. I didn't really have a job yet. I was still in college, right?
Right.
Come to find out I had a better job. I was in sales. I was cocky. I was one of them cats that was showing off, right? And what I noticed is I ran into her out and about, and she's like, damn, I should have kept you around. So there's some regret going on. That's the other thing too, though. It's just a lot of regret when they start spinning the block because they didn't see who you were and what you
Well,
could be, but they see you at the finish line in a way.
Yeah.
well,
And I brought that up, and I brought that up in reference to how do we avoid the trick bag? How do we avoid the chameleon act of acting cooperative before they say I do, and then as soon as they say I do, it's a different person? Because a lot of times, especially if brothers are successful, it's hard to realize because, you know, maybe a part of your success financially was you also got in the gym. So now the physical matches the financial or not. Because again, a part of my hypothetical was you're the same looking guy. You just got a little bit of a bankroll now and people tend to know it, you know? So that's why I asked that, man. And I think it's one of those very unique things that brothers have to face because we are Black men, because of the expectations are so low for us. If we kind of exceed them, it's like, oh, you know, kind of, and how do you navigate that? So
authenticity is crucial. I mean, will say one thing that attracted me to my wife over time, and I know a couple of brothers got again, but I just want to throw this out, right? What made me ultimately choose my wife is the fact that she wasn't super materialistic. It was a breath of fresh air, and that's what we were able to connect. I mean, frankly, my wife wanted to just be in my presence all the time, and that was something that was unique. She wasn't asking for a lot. Hell, I remember the first time we got together, I had a piece of pizza, and I was like, "You want some of this?" She wasn't demanding that I take her out to all these dinners. She could have gotten that, but that right there in itself was, this is a woman who's into me. And I think brothers have to realize too, if the lady that you're with doesn't, for lack of better words, adore you, right? If it's the other way around, it's not gonna work. If your lady doesn't adore you, that relationship probably won't work. And again, I'm not saying you need to get with a woman and she needs to, you know, worship the ground you walk. No, but I mean, candidly, you got to have a woman who wants you for you. And I think that goes back to the expectations of, if she can't just go on a coffee date with you, or if she can't go on a walk in the park with you, that's a chick you don't even need to mess with. Hop in, bros.
Yep.
Well, I just want to add on. I think that dating stage, because I was engaged a few years ago, back in 2018, and during that course of the following year, I saw a lot of things, and I'm glad I dodged that bullet. I'll just say, like, take time with dating. Even I've shared a podcast link a few weeks ago with a brother. He's a private investigator, and he encourages all brothers, or just men in general, to hire a private investigator to do some kind of background check on the women that you're getting involved with, see her psychological history, her, you know, so in this day and age, because you don't know what you're getting into, so that I'll just share that. So just date and don't rush into anything. And, you know, because, you know, even if it takes 2 years to get to know someone, that's better than you getting into something and then, you know, having a kid with somebody you hate.
Yeah, but the private investigator though, damn.
Yeah, he's a brother. I think Brolic probably sort of. I shared it on Reddit when I was still on Reddit.
I remember you sharing.
You sent it in the Discord too. Yeah.
I'll include it in the link for, you know, I'll include it in the link, and I'll share it in the Discord again. But yeah, man, his brother was very matter of fact about doing it. Even if just a few $100, checking out our history, you can learn a lot.
Yeah, that's real. And you know what? To be honest with you, I'm pretty sure a lot of them do it to us. We just don't know it. So we just don't know it.
One way or the other, they know who you are. They know who you are. Whether there's a background check ran on you one way or the other, there's always eyes in the street when they ready to be with you. You'll know.
That's a fact.
What they call that, social proofing? Yeah.
Yep. So that's one element of it for sure. Something that I've peeped, I guess, just in terms of vetting, is outside of lavish whatever indulgence, see how they actually either assimilate or integrate into the things that you actually do, like your process or program, for lack of a better word. What I mean by that is, you're on your grind, the stuff that made you successful, if they cannot really either leave the flow of that neutral or improve upon it, chances are this is not going to end well. Like, there's going to be a lack of alignment, possibly a lack of interest, which isn't an exact deal breaker, but the unwillingness to either assimilate or integrate into your general process that you are eventually designing to include them in If they can't do that very early on, the moment you see like a sign of like, yeah, you're not with it, that's most likely going to be the leak in your ship.
Mm.
But yeah,
Yeah.
that's 3 years of that just taught me that. That's it. Oh, and then for relationships, I think economically speaking, our current batch of adults are largely cooked. We seem to be too individualized to come together on basic relationship stuff. And given the way that the economy is going, the quality of things that are available to us, like not having the ability to coordinate on a civic level or even a civil level, that's going to be a big problem in the near future. I foresee that for sure.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. No, I think I think the economy is going to change things. I foresee though. I foresee this environment encouraging folks to couple up. I
Right.
think that's going to happen at a higher rate. I think some people are going to get a nice dose of reality, one way or the other, right? I mean, you're going, and I think you single brothers, and I joke about it, man. I think you guys are going to get a lot of looks that you may or may not have, experienced before, man. But to me personally, though, I think that's a good thing. I just think it puts the ball in our court and it allows us to, as men, to be a bit more selective in who we choose. And again, I think this is going to be this environment, right? I think this plays into our favor. But again, at the end of the day, I think it's paramount for us to couple up, right? I mean, there's a lot of things that I think are off balance because there are so many people. There's too many single individuals running it. I mean, economically, housing supply. This is my own personal theory. We have too many individuals buying homes where it should be couples buying homes, right? But
Yes.
that's my own personal theory, and it's something that I've held back in professional settings saying. For whatever reason that would be controversial, but I think something as simple as that is creating some of the inflationary aspects. But nonetheless, brothers, I mean, I think this was a fantastic conversation, one that
Really.
we got to keep getting together. I'm talking about what's on our mind. Again, that's the whole purpose of the brotherly exchange subreddit that we created together, myself, Brolic, and MeIsMe. When we came together, that was the whole purpose, getting our thoughts off based on whatever topics are out there. Let's keep building. Let's keep doing this. If we ever go live, maybe for the brothers who are listening that are not a part of this cohort here, in the future, perhaps we find the time to go live. Y'all hop on with us, get your thoughts off. But we're not done. We're not done. We're going to keep this thing going. We will find ways to connect. Perhaps Reddit. Maybe we go to another platform. X. Dear God, maybe even Clubhouse. I've talked about my experience on Clubhouse, but we're going to find a way to keep going. Yep. We're not done, brothers. We are not done. So as we wrap things up, brothers, any other final points?
Much love to y'all. My Knicks are doing work on these Pistons right now. Just want to let that out there.
Gotta check my parlays.
There you go. There you go. Nah, man. Hey, great chopping it up with you guys, man. Let's keep this momentum going. I can't wait till next week to do this. And yeah, man, I'm glad to sync up with y'all.
No doubt.
I feel like I should say like and subscribe or something like that, but I don't know what we're doing. So like and subscribe anyway. I'm going to
like and subscribe. I mean, when we release this, it'll be the weekends. Like what was it, brother? Jesus Nice used to say, "It's Friday. Avoid the bookings. Don't stay out of jail." Whatever we gotta say, we out.
Hey, peace out.
Peace.
Peace.
Peace out.